welcome back to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reed, and today we are here for day four already of our Flossmas Vlogmas. So today we are working on, it's a stitch with me obviously, and we are working on Holiday Quaker by Lila Studios. And basically we are going to open up number 4 of our advent calendar. Alright, so as I said, we are working on Holiday Quaker, and basically I pretty much where I left off the other day, I put a couple of more stitches into the reindeer, and we're just going to continue on with that. So we are working on the reindeer, and first of all we are going to open up number 4, day 4 of our books. So I'm pretty excited. My books have been fabulous. The book grocer has really done a fabulous job. All their parcels are absolutely beautifully wrapped. I feel sorry for the people that had to wrap all these boxes, because there was quite a number of boxes available. I got mine quite early. I've had mine sitting here for quite some time. It'll be over a month I've had them sitting here. So yeah, so alright, so this one is by John Lawton. It's called I'll just get rid of the paper. It's called Friends and Traders. It was a joy to read. Really? Okay, you wouldn't think from the cover. So I don't know if this is a true story or whatever, but no, I think I got fiction. Alright, so Friends and Trader is a refreshingly irreverent tale of dark underbelly of spying, a joy to read, says Michael Ridpath. In 1958, Chief Superintendent Frederick Troy of Scotland Yard, newly promoted after good service during Nikita, oh yeah, I'm not even going to try and say that name. Anyway, a visit to Britain, is not looking forward to the continental trip with his older brother Rod. Rod was too vain to celebrate his 50th, so instead he takes his entire family on a grand tour for his 51st birthday. Paris, Siena, Florence, Vienna, Amsterdam, restaurants, galleries and concert halls. But Frederick Troy never gets to Amsterdam. After the concert in Vienna, he is approached by an old friend who he has not seen for years, Guy Burgess, a spy for the Soviets, who says something extraordinary: "I want to come home." Troy dumps the problem onto MI5, who sends an agent to debrief Burgess, but when the man is gunned down only yards from the embassy, the whole plan unravels, and at an alarming speed, with Troy finds himself as a suspect. As he fights to prove he's innocent, Troy discovers that Burgess is not only a ghost who returned to haunt him. Not the only ghost that has returned to haunt him. Friends and Traders is more than a genre novel. It is a wickedly seductive entertainment and more proof, if anybody is needed, that John Lawton is creating some of the finest and some of our most enjoyable ambiguous history fiction, says Washington Post. Alright, so it has let me just see, it has 334 pages, 36 pages, sorry. It's a paperback. It's quite a large paperback. Like, I can't even fit it all on camera. So yeah, alright. I'm not into spy novels, but it sounds like an interesting read. Alright, so yeah, I'm pretty excited about getting all my books. I can't wait. We're only up to 4. I've still got 20 to go. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have books everywhere. It's going to be amazing. I also got Savannah one for Christmas as well, so she knows that she's getting it. But yeah, so it'll be exciting to see what she gets, because I ordered it ages after mine. So it'll be interesting to see, yeah, what she ends up getting. Okay, for some reason, for day 4, it was a little bit blurry in the recording, so I'm recording the opening again and what I had to say about it. Alright, so day 4 came in this cute little package, Armenian Melody. It is actually like a little music sheets, I guess, and they've wrapped it, she's wrapped it all up and all the rest of it. So and it's actually music related. Alright, so I've been a little bit like, I wasn't really sure about this whole advent calendar and whatnot. So as you know, on day 2 we've got jigsaw pieces. On day 3 we've got Suffolk puffs or yo-yos or whatever you want to call them. And I was like, this is not exactly how she explained it and all the rest of it. But anyway, we're going to persevere with it. I'm curious to see how this all plans out. Now, Christy had a really good comment on, I think it was day 2. When I opened the jigsaw puzzle and I had a bit of a giggle about it and all the rest of it, sorry, I'll just straighten up my camera. She said it's probably for junk journaling. Now, that was one question I didn't ask, and she didn't say it was for journaling or anything like that, but it gave me a really good idea. I will be able to use some of this stuff in my reading journal and even some of my crafty journals that I'm planning on doing for my whips and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to use some of this stuff. So yeah. So anyway, take 2 on the I don't know what happened. I think I got a call as I was recording and it went really weird, and when I was editing it was just really weird. So as I said, I'm just re-recording this, and I'm just going to bring the camera out a little. Oh no, that's the wrong way, Nicole. The other way. All right, a little bit so you can see what I've got. So it came in this, and as you can see, it's number 4, and it is, as I've already opened, I know what it is, but you know those pianos, well, I forget what they're called, but it's one of those things. So this is like, you know, you put it into that piano and it plays itself. Is it pentaccordion or something like that? I can't remember what it's called. I will, when I'm editing, I will put the name of it down, but I don't know if this is the date or not, but it says Note Expressions E 1841. That'd be very interesting if this is from 1841. But as I said, you know, like I was a little bit disappointed. I will say I was a little bit disappointed with, you know, once we got to day 3 and I realised that, you know, like we had jigsaw puzzles and I've fondled a few of the other pieces and I can't feel any more jigsaw puzzles. So I think Christy might be right. This might be for junk journaling. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it all up, and then I'm going to work my way in my journal, my reading journal, on how to incorporate some of this stuff into it. And you know, it might go over a couple of years or whatever, but it's very interesting. Like, as I said, I was a little bit disappointed, but now I'm actually pretty excited about it. So yeah, I am now that I've taken a step back and I've listened to what everybody's saying, and hopefully you enjoy seeing what mystery we're going to get each day. But that is day 4 for our mystery advent calendar. Let's get into some of the stitching, hey? So hopefully everybody enjoyed my Flosstube yesterday, and you're enjoying all the videos that we've been putting up, and talking about books and stuff like that, and just the general chit chat. Done some more Christmas shopping since the last stitch with me. I've done some more Christmas shopping, so that's all nearly done now. Just got to get a couple of things for Mia to send down to her, because as I said, we're not seeing her for Christmas this year, which is okay. She's spending it with her mum and her stepdad, so that frees me up to get some stitching in. Did I do that right? Yes, I've done that right. No, I haven't done that right. What have I done? I see what I've done. I went one too far over. Obviously I can't count. Oh, not off to a good start already. Jeez. Alright, so this one out. Alright, what I did, I went one too far, so I was supposed to start going up here. Silly me. Alright, let's get this needle threaded. That's what you get when you get interrupted as you're finishing up one video. Alright, so I'll thread my needle and then we'll get stitching. Get this reindeer done. So leave a comment down below. Tell me what you're stitching on, if you're stitching on anything, or you're just listening to me prattle on about books. Right, now that looks a little bit better, doesn't it? Yes, it definitely does. It'll look like it's starting to look like a reindeer. We've got legs and stuff. Still looks like a llama. It's so big, the neck, but once we put the face on, the rest of the head and all the rest of it, it should look a lot better. Alright, so I'm just going to do this little bit. Lots of counting in little pieces, little motifs. It's alright when it's a bigger one, because you sort of get the rhythm of the pattern and you can just sort of glance at it and go for it and know what you've got to do. But when you're doing little animals and stuff like that, you definitely got to watch what you're doing, because otherwise you'll end up with a dog instead of a reindeer, or a cat or a mouse or something like that. So yeah. So the fabric that I'm working on today is a 28 count even weave. It is an opalescent that I got from Sew It All Australia, and I believe it's called Sky. I haven't got that information down, and I cannot find the packet that it was in, but yeah, it's got the, you can't really see it on camera, but it does have a little bit of sparkle through it. And just to add a little bit more Christmas sparkle to it, I'm actually using Cosmo threads, and I'm just going over the top thread, and that's just putting a little bit of blue, it's a blue thread, and it's putting a little bit of sparkle on it. And I'm also going to do the same, I don't think I'm going to do it for all the snowflakes, just randomly through, and on the gold ones I will definitely do it, and the moon I'm going to do it as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one 6. Just to add that little bit of extra sparkle to it, because I can do that if I want. Alright, Miss 2. Alright, this should make it look a little bit more like a reindeer in just a second. Obviously we've still got to do his horns and stuff, but actually he'll probably still look like a llama. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut over to my voiceover and talk about the books that I have read in the last few days. I haven't read a great deal in the last couple of days, with obvious reasons. I've been busy sewing and all the rest of it, so I have managed to get some listening in. I'm almost finished another book, so I'm going to hold that over to another day. I'll probably hold it over till Monday, because Sunday I'm sort of just going to make it like a bit of a Wip'n'Chat, so just general wrap up for the week, what I've been up to, some plans that I've got coming up, and all that sort of stuff. So the book I'm going to talk about today is a bingo challenge book. So it was to read a book that was published in the year that you were born. Okay, not the month or anything like that you were born, just the year that you were born. So I chose Love Story. It's one of my favourite books. I've read this, I think, 3 or 4 times now in my life. It was actually one of my mum's favourite movies, and I don't know whether she actually read the book or not, but I remember that my mum used to watch it all the time. I personally have only watched it once, but I have read the book. I'm more of a book reader than a movie watcher, although my mum was quite an avid reader as well. She taught me to read at a very young age and have a very much love of books and whatnot, but she was more of a library girl, whereas I'm more of a girl that needs to own the books. So yeah, and I don't often talk about my mum or my family on my channel, so there's a little tidbit about my mum. Yeah, so this was one of her favourite movies, and she watched it all the time. As I said, I think this is it'd have to be the 4th time that I've read it, 3rd or 4th time I've read it. I don't read it all the time, but every now and again when I just want a simple love story, I sort of gravitate towards this. I have read it a couple of times to restore my faith in love and all the rest of it after breakups as well. All right, so it was published in February, Valentine's Day of 1970. It is a romance, obviously. I listened to this on audiobook, and it has 224 pages. As I said, it was a bingo challenge, and yeah, it's by Erich Siegel. I think that's how you pronounce his first name. He's got a few other books out as well. He also has another book out. I believe it came out in 1978, and it tells of the main character from this book. It's his story. So Oliver's story, I think it's called, from memory. We'll have to look that up. I cannot remember for the life of me. So for those that don't know anything about Love Story, that's what it's called, Love Story, as simple as that. Originally, the author wrote it as a screenplay, and it was picked up by Paramount Pictures back in the day, and basically, while it was in production, I believe this, according to the things that I've read throughout time, the studio wanted it as a novel as well, so he wrote it as a novel. But published it as a novel on Valentine's Day. Now, the movie did not come out until December of 1970, and I believe it was around the first 2 weeks. It wasn't on Christmas, like it was before Christmas it came out. By the time Christmas rolled around, it had been rolled out to all the other theatres and all the rest of it. Just some things that I have looked up in the last couple of days. As I said, it was originally written as a screenplay, and Paramount Pictures picked it up. It was released in the December of that year, but it was also voted as one of the most romantic movies of all time, and is still ranked number 9 on their list. So that sort of gives you a bit of a background of that. And I done another search as well and checked if you could still get it. It wasn't on any of the streaming services that we have here in Australia, so it possibly could be on some of the streaming services that you have in the US. We don't have everything that you have, but I could rent it on Prime Video, so I'm guessing that you should be able to find it somewhere on your streaming services. The ones that I actually am a member of, it wasn't on that, but we have just recently got Paramount streaming services here in Australia, so I might have to, I think I can only get it on my computer, not on my TV at this point, so I haven't checked that one yet, but I'll let you know if you can. It's, take a box of tissues, it's a tragic love story, so to speak, but I just love it. I absolutely love it. A lot of people, bah humbug on it and all the rest of it, and it has some questionable things in it, but you also have to remember when it was written as well. So basically, it covers the story of Oliver and Jenny. Oliver is a jock, and hockey is his game, and he goes to Harvard, and she goes to Radcliffe, and she is studying music. So basically, she's a little bit of a bohemian. He's from upper class, she is from working class. She's got quite a smart mouth, and all that sort of stuff. They meet, they subsequently fall in love. A little bit too quick for my liking, but hey, who am I to bah humbug on a love story? So basically, they fall in love and all the rest of it, and then it goes through the yada yada yadas of the love story and them dating and all that sort of stuff. It moves very quickly. Like, I feel like it moves very quickly, although it is covering quite a number of years. It is a very short book. As I said, it's only 224 pages, but it can invoke a lot of feelings in the person that, well, I believe anyway, for me, it invokes a lot of feelings as I'm reading it. So one of the standout things were that they, hung out together and spent a lot of time together, fell in love, decided to get married. When he went to his parents and all the rest of it to say that he was going to get married, the father, like typical sort of storyline. The father, basically goes, if you marry her, we'll have nothing to do together with each other again and all the rest of it. He decides then and there that he was marrying this girl come hell or high water, and he walked out on his family, basically. They got married. But what strikes a chord with me here, I have actually got a couple of friends that are a little bit more well off and all the rest of it, and have, met people that what their family consider from, lower classes or whatever. And it just shows you that class divide has always sort of been there, because it always seems to come up in books and stuff like that. And, and it does happen in real life. Like I know of a couple of people that, basically stopped talking to their family because they were in love and they wanted to marry that person or be with that person, and their family really come down on them, and they chose that person. And two of those people that out of the three people that I know are still together today and still madly in love. Yes, one of them has reconciled with their family, the other one hasn't. I don't want to say any names because I haven't spoken to them about it, but they'll know who they are if they watch my videos. So yeah, like there's always that, and I've never really understood that. Like, if your daughter or your son is so happy and they're in love, and whether you think it's a mistake or not, shouldn't they be allowed to, pursue that happiness and all the rest of it? And like I often say to my daughters, like, you're not obligated. Yes, I'm your mother. Yes, this is your father. Yes, this is your family. But, you're not obligated to us. Just because we gave birth to you doesn't mean that, and you've been part of the family for however long, just because we're family doesn't mean we're obligated to each other. Yes, it's nice to have that family there and to fall back on and all the rest of it. But sometimes you just don't get along with your family. And, that happens. You butt heads or whatever. Over silly arguments and stuff like that, I think it's, ridiculous. You should try and make up if it's just a silly argument. But I can honestly say, and I have walked away from my family because it didn't suit, not because it didn't suit me, but because of it just was not going to reconcile. And, life is far too short, as this story indicates, to hold grudges or to, shun people or to, do whatever. Like, if that makes any sense at all. Probably doesn't. Like, it's hard being in my head. It can be quite difficult at times. But, I think that this made him, if he had have listened to his father or his parents' wishes and all the rest of it and didn't marry her, I think he was going to miss out on something so valuable to his life. That's the way I justified it, I guess, as I'm reading it and all. And I think it made him a better person, a better understanding person. He had to struggle a little bit. He didn't just have everything handed to him, as they call it, the years of struggle and all the rest of it. And what I found really, really funny and quite interesting in this book is that she lost her mother at a young age. But when he went to meet her father, he was quite welcoming and open and accepting. And while he may have had his doubts about them and all the rest of it, he still was accepting. He still had enough respect for his daughter and his soon-to-be son-in-law that he accepted what they were putting in front of him, that they were in love and they wanted to get married and all that sort of stuff, even though they weren't going to have a church wedding and all that sort of stuff. Her being Italian background, American Italian, and obviously there's a strong connection to the Catholic Church there and all the rest of it. He was still accepting of that and accepted them for what they wanted and their happiness and all the rest of it, because he had suffered himself by losing his wife. Obviously, whether the author wanted to portray that or not, I sort of felt that her father was more understanding and more accepting because he had been through a hardship of losing his wife and raising his daughter on his own, and the struggle is real and all that sort of stuff. So I felt that he was more of an accommodating parent because he had struggled and all the rest of it. Whereas on the flip side, and I'm sure that they had struggle and all the rest of it. Oliver's parents were, you know, for lack of a better term, and I don't like to use this term, silver spooners, because there are people out there that have worked very hard to get what they want, what they have in life, and all the rest of it. But you know, that's sort of how they come across in the book. So I just I could see the two sides of the coin there, but it was just very funny that, you know, the working class people were more accepting, and even the scene in the book, or the part of the story in the book where he's going to meet her father for the first time, and he has already been shunned by his parents, but he's still driving his, I think it's an MG that he's driving, and he's looking for a park, and all the people were sitting on the stoops of their houses or out on their verandas and watching this all play out, and they were all, you know, excited to see her because she'd come back to the neighborhood, and you know, they were, you know, yelling to one another, in not as arguments, but you know, yelling to one another greetings and all that sort of stuff, and you know, making sure that he understood that he had a good one there, and all the rest of it. And yeah, it was of knowing, like, because I haven't read this for many years. Like, I think the last time I read this book would have been in the early 90s, so a very long time. We'll just leave it there. And, you know, so basically it was good because I've lived a whole lot more life, and I've seen a whole lot more of two sides of the coin since then. And so it was really good to reread this, and it sort of makes you feel like happy that you didn't have those problems and all the rest of it. But you can see where the working class seem to be a little bit more accepting, and I don't like to put judgmental things on people, but they seem to be more, in this particular book, more accepting than the upper class people. So and you know, another thing too, like while I was listening to this book, it was hard to wrap your head around it, that these were kids, were only young. And it made me think back to like when my mum got married. She was only 19 years old. My dad was only I think he was 23 when he married my mum. And you know, like, just to think that that's what they did back then in the 70s. Like, she got married in 1973, and she was only 19 at the time. I was already 3 at that stage. I was born in 1970, and there's a whole story there. But anyway, we're not going to go into that. Yeah, like, and it was just so, like, I was trying to think of my daughters marrying at 19, which is only 2 years away for Savannah, and I just can't even wrap my head around it, that she could be very much ready to marry at that age. And you know, yeah, and I struggled while I was reading it, because I kept thinking of my daughters and all the rest of it. But then I think back to me, you know, like, I had a very serious relationship at that age. I had been with my then partner, I'd been with him for at least 3 years. We'd been living together, so, because I left home at a very young age, and yeah, I'd been living with him 2 years. I'd been living with him. I think I moved in with him when just after my 17th birthday, in the January, actually, after my 17th. So I would have been 17 and 4 months when I moved in with my then partner, and we were together for a long time. We had been together a couple of years prior to moving in together. We'd also broken up a couple of times in that first, you know, the first couple of years were quite rocky and stuff like that. But this just goes on, you know, like, they're trying for a family. They end up finishing school. He ends up working for a good law firm, all without the help of his parents. Like, once he realized that he wasn't going to have help from his parents financially or anything, because he was marrying this girl, he took it upon himself to go and get a scholarship from Harvard and all the rest of it. He ended up finishing his education, ended up working for a law firm. Subsequently, she was teaching. She also wanted to go to Paris and all this sort of stuff. She didn't do any of that. And it's really hard not to give a spoiler here, but they end up trying to have a family and all that sort of stuff, and subsequently, after trying for some time, they go to the doctors. It turns out that she's quite ill, so it is a tragic love story. And so she ends up being quite ill, and like, this has all gone over a span of a few years. Like, they're only 24 years in age at this stage, and they've already gone through so much. But he's working as a lawyer, her as a teacher, and yeah, it's just I still struggle, obviously, to wrap my head. But reading it back in the 90s, it wasn't an issue for me to think that, because, you know, at 22, I already had my first child. I'd been in a serious relationship by that stage for almost 7 years. Yeah, so for me back then it wasn't, but now reading it from a mother's point of view and all the rest of it, yeah, there was a few things that I was struggling to wrap my head around. And of course, times have changed. People don't get married at such a young age now. People aren't thinking about having children until they're in their 30s and all the rest of it. But when I was younger, and when my mum was younger, we were having babies young, you know, like 22, 19, you know, getting married and settling down and essentially playing house and all the rest of it. So yeah, there was a lot of that sort of stuff circulating this time round. So it'll be interesting if I read it in a few more years as well, and see if I've got another take on it. But yeah, I mean, it was sad how it ended and all the rest of it, but at the same time, the way the author did end the book, you know, with a record. Do I want to give some away? I don't know. Anyway, you know what? It's got spoilers, people. If you don't want to listen to what I'm going to say next, click off now. So basically, subsequently, she's very sick. She ends up passing away, and his dad comes back into the scene, and it finishes with his dad hugging him hugging his dad, and just basically the floodgates open and he cries. And you couldn't ask for a better way for a book to end. Love story always makes me cry, and I hope that you enjoyed this review today. Alright, so I'm going to call it a day there. We've got another little reindeer butt going on there, so we'll get through these pretty quick. Alrighty, well, so thank you so much for joining me today. I do hope you enjoyed my little chit chat about books that I've read and what I'm getting up to and all the rest of it. And yeah, hopefully you're getting some Christmas shopping done and you're enjoying your time with me. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up down below. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you're working on. Also, what books you're reading as well. I always like to know what you're reading. And I will see you again tomorrow for some more stitching and another sort of chit chat about books. Hopefully I'll have another one finished. Alrighty, take care, and I'll talk to you then. Bye for now.